everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a series check-in. So I think one of my goals this year was to keep track of the series that I'm reading. If it wasn't one of my goals, then it probably should have been, because I'm in the middle of so many series right now. And honestly, it has always been a real problem for me, so I need to hold myself accountable. I need to get through some series, I need to start some of the series that I've been meaning to read for ages. So that's what this video is all about. So I'm planning on doing these quarterly. My friend Angela does a similar thing, the same thing. I copied this idea from her. I will leave her channel down below. I did used to do this kind of thing back when I was on BookTube the first time, but I hadn't really brought it back until now. So here we go. I've split this up into series I started and will continue, series I started and have quit, series I might continue, series I have continued this year, and series that I've completed. So a lot of categories, a lot of series and a lot of books. Let's get started. I figure I might as well start with the book series that I have started this year and which I am planning to continue, of which there are 6. First one being Crescent City. I read House of Earth and Blood back in January, gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun urban fantasy book with angels and werewolves and all sorts of paranormal creatures. I used to read a lot of urban fantasy in my youth when I was younger, and so this gave me those kinds of vibes and reminded me why I love the genre. It is a little bit on the longer side and I do feel like it was quite dragged out. I still really enjoyed it and I read it quite quickly for an 800-page book. I have started the second book in the series, which is House of Sky and Breath, but I haven't gotten very far with it and I've put it down for now, so I'm not caught up all the way with this one. The next one that I started and plan to finish is Finley Donovan is Killing It. I got this one from the library, so I'm probably going to get the second book from the library as well. This is an adult crime fiction comedy sort of thing. The main character is an author. She is struggling to make ends meet. Her husband is battling for custody of the kids, and then someone hires her to kill their husband because they think that she is a hitman. It's got a very funny kind of vibe and I really enjoyed it, but not enough to actually buy the book, but it is a series that I do plan to finish eventually. Next there is Kingdom of the Wicked. I really enjoyed this one. This is YA bordering on new adult paranormal. The main character is a witch. Her twin sister dies because she seems to have made some sort of deal with a devil, the devil, and so the main character has to team up with a prince of hell in order to avenge her sister, figure out what happened to her, potentially stop the devil from coming to her. I do plan on reading the second book quite soon because I want to get on hype before the third one comes out. By soon I probably mean this summer rather than immediately, so I think I'll probably pick this one up when it comes out in paperback in August. I also started or restarted Chew, which is a graphic novel series. I started this one years ago and I didn't continue with it because I just felt kind of meh about it. I did like it a lot more this time around, and so I continued with it. I think I read books 1 through to 5, which I got from the library, and then I did feel like I needed to take a break in the middle of this series. Basically it's about a guy who works for the food something. I can't remember the name of it, but basically they test food and make sure all the regulations are being followed, and in this world, due to bird flu, chicken and turkey are now illegal, and when we're introduced to the main character, he has a special power, so if he eats something he can see the origin of that food, or if it's not food, he can see origins of how it became that way. It's a really fun idea, but it did become a bit repetitive, which is why I've taken a break in the middle, but eventually I do want to continue this series. Then there is Dark and Shallow Lies, which I'm very surprised to see it is going to be a series. I enjoyed this one enough to read whatever companion book or sequel it does get, but like I said, I'm very surprised because this was a really good standalone in my opinion. It's about a girl who comes from a town full of kind of like witches. Everyone in this town is very close-knit. It's kind of in the swamps of Louisiana. Everyone has some sort of psychic ability. Also her best friend is missing and she's trying to figure out what happened to her. So I will continue it even though I wasn't expecting it to be a series because I really like the atmosphere and the setting. And then the final series that I started this year and I would like to continue is Pines. This one is a sci-fi thriller by Blake Crouch, who wrote Dark Matter and the other one. This one is a trilogy set in a small town called Wayward Pines. The main character wakes up there with no memories and then he starts to discover things are going on, as you would if you woke up in a town with no memory for no reason. I really enjoyed this one. I didn't love it, but I think it's a good one to kind of sink my teeth into, and now that I know the twists from the ending, I'm quite intrigued to see what comes next. And then I have 7 series that I have started but don't wish to continue. I just read the first book in these series this quarter. I didn't get on with these first books, so I don't want to carry on with the series, but I wanted to list them here just so that you can see that I made an attempt. I'm not going to go into too much detail about these because I've spoken about them all in wrap-ups and I didn't really like the books. So we have Generation Dead, which is a YA book about zombies, Wicked Lovely, which is a YA book about fairies, The Thursday Murder Club, which is a adult mystery crime book, Fury, which is YA paranormal, Haunting Violet, YA paranormal, again slightly historical I think, Wake, YA paranormal, and Vesper. I don't know what this is, like YA sci-fi, but I DNF'd it. So you might be able to see a trend. These are all YA books that I've had most of them for years, barring the Thursday Murder Club. I've owned all of these for years, and I should have read them back then because I think I probably would have liked them a little bit more then, but definitely not all of them. Some of them, their writing style was terrible. And then we have one series that I started this year and I might continue depending on the reviews for the next book, and that is Iron Widow. I didn't like the first book. I think I gave it 1.5 stars, maybe 2. It's YA new adult sci-fi fantasy sort of, but I really didn't get on well with it. I didn't like the main character. I've done a whole discussion of this one. I don't think I've done a review of it. I don't really feel the need to because I just didn't like it that much, and I don't really have loads to say, but it's not a good book. I don't think it was written very well. I didn't like the main character, and I don't know if I want to continue. The only reason I possibly would is because of the hype. Maybe the second book will be better now that it's not the author's debut, because I do think the author had some very good ideas. They just weren't executed very well. Okay, and my last 2 categories, like I said in the beginning, are series that I continued this quarter and series I completed. So I only had one series that I continued this quarter, and that is Tunnel of Bones, or the second book in the Cassidy Blake series. This is by Victoria Schwab. It's middle grade paranormal. The main character, Cassidy, can see ghosts and talk to ghosts, and she has a ghost best friend, and it's just a really cute YA series, and it's got a different setting in each book. So the first one is set in Edinburgh in Scotland, the second one is set in Paris in France, and the third one I haven't read yet, but it's set in the US somewhere, maybe New Orleans, I'm not sure. And I just really enjoy that it hops around and there's a different kind of ghost story in each setting so far, and I'm definitely hoping to continue and read the third book, which I think is Bridge of Souls, in a few months time, possibly around Halloween, because these are good ghostly Halloween books to read. I just need to get my Audible credits back up and running because I paused my account recently, so once I'm paying for that again I can get it from Audible because I really like the audiobooks. And then we have 5 series that I completed this quarter, which is not bad going really, because some of these have been in progress for ages. First of all, I finished Arc of a Scythe. I read books 2 and 3, so Thunderhead and The Toll. These were rereads for me, but I'm still counting them in series that I completed because I've been reading them, obviously. There are some short stories in this universe coming out at the end of this year, I think possibly in November, around the time of my birthday, so it's technically not complete, but I've completed the main series, and you'll see that I'm very inconsistent with these rules when we get to another book in this series later, but I just wanted to count this as series complete, especially because the short stories hadn't officially been announced yet when I wrote this list. I love this series. It's YA dystopian and it covers a lot of heavy topics. I think it's very philosophical and I really enjoy it, and I can't wait to reread it again in the future. I definitely would do. Then I started and completed White Sand graphic novels by Brandon Sanderson, and I didn't really like them. I gave the first one 3 stars I think, and the other 2 were 2 stars because they were just so boring. I don't think the story really adapted well to graphic novel formats, and then halfway through right at the end of the second graphic novel, the artist changed, so the art style changed entirely, and it was very off-putting, and I don't know why they decided to do that, why they decided to introduce their own drawing style right at the end of a graphic novel instead of just starting that in the third one. But I didn't like it, was not a fan, so I'm glad that's over with. I'm not going to reread this ever. Then I read books 3 and 4 in the Harper Connolly series. Book 3 was a reread for me because I've been building up to getting to book 4, which I think was called Grave Secret or Grave Surprise, I don't know. Put the covers here, of course. I've been in the middle of this series up to and including book 3 for years. I think I first got these when I was in my urban fantasy kick, which would have been when I was like 17, 18. So it's been ongoing for a decade now, and I'm so glad that I finally decided to finish it, and I managed to unhaul the first 3 books. I didn't actually own the 4th in physical format. I managed to find that from the library, so that was good. It's quite a good series. It's very enjoyable. There are some questionable aspects to it, and I don't think Charlene Harris is the best at wrapping up series from what I've heard from the Sookie Stackhouse books, but it was still enjoyable. And when I needed a urban fantasy book about people who can find dead bodies due to being struck by lightning, this was a good one to pick up because it was a really easy read. Then I started and completed Mouse, which is a graphic novel series. I think there are meant to be 2 books in one. I've got the whole bind up somewhere. I really enjoyed this one. It's obviously historical. The author is writing a memoir basically for his father and what his father went through, or parents went through, during World War II, because they were Jewish, and obviously a lot of stuff happened to them. And finally, the last series that I completed was the Daverbad series. The first 3 books are here, and recently the author came out with some short stories which I had already read most of when she released them as a PDF file when Empire of Gold came out, but these have been reformatted, I think edited as well, and they're now out as an audiobook. I've obviously pre-ordered the hardback, which is coming out in September, but I managed to get the audiobook from NetGalley and also Audible. I bought that one too, and I love it. I love these short stories so much. much. I love the Daevabad world. I love all of the characters and their relationships, so I'm really glad that I got the chance to read this or listen to this, because it was so nice being back in that world, and I can't wait to reread these books because they're so good. I gave River of Silver 5 stars, by the way, in case you didn't already know. And like I was saying earlier, this is quite inconsistent to Scythe, because I've said that I've completed Scythe even though I haven't read the short stories, but I'm including the short stories in Daevabad. I just wanted to talk about Daevabad really, so that's why that's included here. So those are all the series that I have started, continued or finished in this past quarter. As for series that I'm planning on starting, I think I might do a separate video on that, because first of all I need content because I'm struggling at the moment, and secondly I haven't really prepared anything, so I need to have a good long think about what my plans are, and I need to make sure that I stick to them, because I'm so bad at sticking to series plans and fantasy book plans, because I get into really weird moods with fantasy books. If you are interested though, I have uploaded 2 videos, one on series that I want to start this year and one on series that I want to complete this year. They're 2 very different things, so if you want to go check those out, I will leave them linked down below, and that will give you an idea of what I'm doing in the year overall. But in terms of what I'm doing this coming quarter, in quarter 2, I don't know yet, but I will let you know as soon as I figure myself out. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you've read any of these series, what you thought of them, and let me know how many series you have started or completed in the first quarter of this year. Thank you so much, and I'll speak to you all in the next video. Bye!